was always taken by a quote that John Doerr, the general partner at Kleiner Perkins, shared with me when I was a superintendent. Before we had done this initiative, and his notion was you're either networking or you're not working, and that it's the learning you get when you ask questions. And it's always been my belief that if you were asking more than you were telling, you were learning a great deal. So and I feel like as a school district superintendent, that was one of my beliefs, that you have to constantly be a learner. And I found nothing better than talking with kindergarten teachers, because I'd not really taught kindergarten, to have them basically share and teach me what their life was like. So for me, a community was the most important thing to build a movement or build an industry. And that we are always trying to find what I would call common ground. And the common ground, I think, came from individuals who are deeply committed to the profession, deeply committed to the work they were doing, and deeply committed to serving the most at-risk youngsters. And if you're trying to serve at-risk youth, you got a lot of questions, and you have a boatload of challenges, and that the only way to solve those challenges is to find someone who was doing it better than you, at the time. And public education at that time had no models. If you wanted to be a great basketball player, you could look at Michael Jordan's videos, but there were no great videos. There was no great how do you build community engagement in the poorest section of your school system, even though you knew that's exactly what parents wanted. So I had always been of the belief that you had to share, and that you always had to give everything you had. And we made that, or at least I made that, a hallmark of the work we were doing in California and the work we were doing nationally, because it was good. It was good for me. It was good for Aspire, and it was good for Aspire. It was good for others. And I don't know whether the sector is just full of folks like me, or whether it's full of needy folks who want to solve a problem. But it took off far more than far wider and faster than anywhere else. I mean, I had the privilege of being an Annenberg superintendent, and it took us 3 or 4 years, a group of national superintendents, to spend enough time together to trust one another, to share our deepest worries and anxieties. And we did that, the second meeting with a charter leader who was trying to grow a system. So, I think the funniest thing I would say about that over time is, I mentioned being an Annenberg superintendent, and one of my colleagues, a guy by the name of Tim Sanford, who's a superintendent in Maine, called me one evening out of the blue. He said, "Don, it's Tim, and I'm in a gas station in Gorham, Maine, and I went to use the restroom, and your business plan is on the floor of this restroom." It's like, he said, "I had to call you." He said, "What do you want me to do with it?" I said, "I want you to leave it there, because our job is to share everything we've got. Why have someone else, work so hard around the business plan when we've sort of figured out the financial model? It's more efficient and it's more community." So I was quite happy that our business plan was on a Chevron bathroom floor.